This is the Generative AI Security Podcast, brought to you by the OWASP Top 10 for LLM apps and Gen AI. We'll be talking about pertinent industry issues around generative AI with our project leads, contributors, and more. Please click like and subscribe for all of our latest content.
Hello, AI community. Aubrey here with the OWASP Top 10 for LLM applications and generative AI. And today I am joined by a very familiar face in the community, Mr. Ads Dawson. How you doing, Ads?
Hey, man. I'm good. Thank you, Aubrey. I appreciate you having me, and always awesome to chat with you, dude.
It is. It's always awesome to chat with you. I learn things every single time we get together. So
Likewise.
Last time I discovered Crucible, but this time you're going to show me Dyana, right? That is an open source utility that has been put up by Dreadnode.
Yes, yeah. So Dyana is an open source project. It's available on GitHub. It was developed. I have to give a huge shout out to Simon, my colleague at Dreadnode. Fantastic. He's just a fantastic individual. Has a lot of skills when it comes to development, coding, machine learning. We worked together and have successfully published Dyana. So Dyana is a sandbox environment. It uses Docker and Tracy. Tracy from Aquasec, sorry, those who are aware, for loading, running, and profiling like a wide range of files. The intention of actually where we started was for machine learning models, but we're able to actually expand that. So now we can also profile executable files, i.e. ELFs, pickle, serialized files, JavaScript, PyPy. It gives like really detailed insights into GPU memory usage, file system interactions, network activity, and gives you like security related events. Wow. So think of this as like almost a much more efficient way of sandboxing that is a traditional like security concept where most people I assume are familiar with. However, it's relevant to us because we're actually able to do it for model files. So let me kind of so I'm just going to share my screen here. I kind of go back to the backstory. So one research idea of many, which is always great fun. We were theorizing about how to profile model files. The reason why this is really relevant, there's some fantastic research and publishings from especially people like Adrian Wood and Mary Walker on backdoored models, which I assume, again, a lot of people are familiar with. Backdoor models are effectively models run as software, and they can therefore execute arbitrary code on where they are deployed, so, i.e. your local machine, infrastructure, inference infrastructure, etc. So this was kind of our idea, and this is not to pick on a specific model at all. I just picked DeepSeek because it's hot right now.
Absolutely. Yep.
Absolutely, justifyingly. However, the idea we had is that, a lot of people are running models now locally. There's a lot of companies that are embedding AI into their existing infrastructure, and there's obviously a lot of companies who are providing inference, right? So yes. Just picking like Hugging Face, which is a model registry, which the majority of people are familiar with. So the idea is here, like when you're looking at all these files, in order to run the model, you need predominantly most of these files, right? And this can be like very overwhelming, especially to someone who's not like really super familiar with machine learning and just maybe AI in general, right? Like a lot of these files, if these were something else, you'd be very skeptical about downloading them. So the idea is that what we wanted to do is provide a safe, executable, and sandboxed environment, which allows you to run it and profile it, as well as giving like great insights into GPU usage and things like that, which can be really beneficial from like how much energy or how much resource do I need to deploy this model. The idea is it can provide you potential security related information, i.e. if a model is being backdoored. We have, I think it's LLM 3 and 4 in our list now, which have like, we've seen data poisoning expand into data and model poisoning. and supply chain as well, right? So both those vectors are like huge attack vectors. I mentioned the research from Adrian and Mary, but I mean, like JFrog, for example, did a great write-up on how many malicious models they found in Hugging Face repositories. And just to give an example, like Hugging Face itself, last time I checked, was about 101,240,000 models that are available, right? So that's a lot of stuff to profile. And it's a challenge for kind of any company. So this is kind of a facilitating tool that we hope will be beneficial to the open source, to the community. See, it's beneficial for developers, machine learning engineers, security engineers. And again, it's not just like purely limited to AI per se, but it can also like profile other kinds of files. So what I'm going to do is I can actually kind of show you in action here to get an idea.
No, I did have a quick question here, and it may not be relevant at all. I'm just curious if there's any difference, because I haven't worked with DeepSeek much yet at all, other than to just kind of do some prompts and nothing big. But I'm curious, in a utility like this, are there any differences working with all those experts versus a dense model? Is it more difficult or more beneficial to use the sandbox environment because of that?
So I think this information can be used from anyone who's like, it can be used on like such a broad spectrum. So the idea is that anyone who is looking to deploy a model file and is maybe, as a requirement, they need to check like, a lot of people might be familiar with the term like ML bomb, which is similar to S bomb. So it's like the concept of knowing what is coming through your supply chain. Dyana is a great tool that facilitates those bill of materials by allowing you to actually execute it in that safe environment. So you kind of get an idea if it's like, let's say, safe or not, right? This information can be beneficial to numerous people developing AI or working with AI or whatever, but again, not purely limited to AI. So what we actually have in the concept of Dyana is loaders. So we have custom loaders here. And when I was saying like the type of files that it supports, these are the type of files here which are defined under loaders. So example, we have pickle files. We're able to profile pip. We're able to do website through the Selenium driver. But the main kind of meat of where we started and the initial loader was the auto model, which is the default loader that is used by Hugging Face. So when you use the Hugging Face library and you download a model and run a model on your machine, it's using that library, which again supports like over 1 million models. So this tool is like really adaptive to different models and the majority available in Hugging Face, which means that as long as you have the hardware requirements on your machine, you're able to run and execute this, which is awesome. So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm just going to set up my virtual environment. Dyana is, you can install it. It's available on PyPy, so you can just pip install it. But for the purpose of this demo, I'm just gonna set up poetry environment. So first thing I'm going to show you here is just an idea of what Dyana will output. So we've created this malicious pickle file. A majority of models are available in .pickle, and they are susceptible to serialization, deserialization vulnerability. So if it executes arbitrary code and it's deserialized in an unsafe manner, then it can execute that code on your machine. So yeah, we'll start off with a very simple example here where we've actually created a malicious pickle file just for the purpose of this demo. So I'm just going to run a Dyana trace here to show you like what the initial outputs of Dyana are to look like and the kind of information that you can glean from this. And then I'll go through a couple more examples. So what we've actually done is just created a malicious pickle file, which for the purpose of this demo is fairly simple, but it just is a cat of Etsy password. which is obviously most people are familiar with, right? So let's say this is a model which has been provided as a pickle file. Obviously, cat.sc password is not very helpful, but you can imagine with things like lateral movement and network activity, if it's beaconing out to maybe like a C2 server or something like that, then it's able to basically execute this code and extract this information out of your environment. So what I'm showing here is like just the Dyana trace of this malicious pickle that we've created for the purpose of this demo. You can see the platform that it was loaded on, the loader, arguments. One of the really nice things that I like about Dyana is it actually allows you to do a -- allow network parameter, which basically means that you can actually provide the Docker container that this is running in network access. So if you wanted to then, let's say like this model is backdoored and it, it's exfiltrating data to some kind of C2, you can then see that network activities, which then you can, hunt for IOCs, etc. Right? So obviously we can see standard out, which we can prove that it's actually done what it said it's going to do here. We can get profiling around the memory and disk usage, and we can see the process executions that were actually performed here. So you can see that, like, for example, it's, created a file called pound and it's cat.sc password, file access. And in this case, obviously, we don't actually have any allow network. So let me just try.
I need the Benny Hill theme song for when it runs.
I apologize. It's actually for the malicious model where it actually does that. But it kind of gives you an idea. For every single trace that's performed, every single trace that's performed, this is the output summary. So this is what you'll get from the CLI. However, this is actually, we output to a trace file, which is a huge JSON file, and it literally goes into the point of giving you like the actual syscalls and numbers, process IDs that were ran. So you can see, like, for example, it opened a security file as a security file open, which is like a trigger for a security policy to identify that like this piece of code has done this in this sense. You can get the Python process, timestamps, all this kind of information could be like easily ingested from a seam or something like that, where you're actually like gaining this mass data. So that's where that could be really helpful, just to kind of give you an idea there. But let me show you for this example here. Okay, so I'm just going to do a bit of copy pasta. But what I'm actually kind of showing here is I've actually just downloaded Llama 3.2 1B from Hugging Face. So again, using the transformers, using the auto model library from Hugging Face, I was actually able to do that. So let's say I wanted to run this model locally on my machine to be a code assistant or something like that. What I'm actually showing you on this left-hand side here is a profile of that Llama 3.2 1B. But on the right-hand side, for the purpose of this demo, we've actually created a backdoored version of Llama, which I've just called malicious Llama. Okay, so
sure,
trying to give an idea of like, something you might see in the wild. Let's say a potential model is backdoored and someone has created a malicious Llama, let's say. So again, looking from the CL output, we can get really good statistics around memory and disk usage, process executions that have been formed.
Couple extra processes in the malicious Llama there.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, cat.sc password, again, network activity, and then obviously for the purpose of this demo, you can clearly see that it's making a DNS query to malicious.com, which is the idea of where that backdoor is coming from, right? So hopefully this is kind of giving an idea of how this could be really beneficial to you and where it could how it could be used. Also, you see as well that the imports that are actually being performed as part of this model. So when you're actually importing it, that's like that supply chain vector that we're referring to, that all these other libraries are being pulled in. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of like a very brief demo. Like I said, for the loaders that we support, Right now, we have Auto Model, Olama, so you can profile models that you run on Olama on your machine. LoRa files, Linux executables, i.e. ELFs, Pickle, Python, pip, JavaScript, NPM, and website, aka Selenium. So if you wanted to run like a like a request, you'll see like Selenium driver and all the underlying processes and things it runs, network connections, so you can kind of see like what Google is doing under the hood when you actually just browse to google.com and the amount of stuff that's invoked. Again, these are just like really simple examples, but that's one of the things that I really love about this tool, is because it's not just model files, so it kind of gives you that like multifaceted. Again, this is all done in a Dockerized environment. The container is removed and cleaned up after this trace is run. And obviously you have the flexibility of allowing those parameters if you want to allow network access, don't want to. Very kind of customizable and tweakable.
That's cool. I like it. And I got to tell you, one of the things that I get asked quite often is, hey, if I'm starting to develop, doing something with AI, and I downloaded this model off Hugging Face, and something bad happened to my system. I ended up getting owned in some way, and now I don't trust Hugging Face. That's what I've talked to so many people that are like, I'm just never downloading a model from there again. That's just, which is crazy. We can't. I don't think you can do that in this day and age. So this is a great utility to kind of help save you from that sort of thing. I love it. I love it.
Thank you very much. That's really kind of you.
So would you recommend that pretty much that this would be, let's say somebody's looking to try out a new model, figure out if it's really going to work in their environment? Obviously, they're going to want to sandbox the thing before they do absolutely anything in the environment. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And the Dyana provides you a safe space to do that. Let's call it. Also, as well, we have models that use GPU. You can actually get like really great GPU profiling from them as well. So this can actually be really beneficial for like AI developers, let's say. Like, so when you actually run a model here, this input here, like I'm just using this as an example, but this is the input. So like this is the like inference request, so to speak, or the prompts that I'm actually sending to the model. So like, let's say you want to do something and you want to interact with the model in a specific way. It gives you like really good information. It's like how much resource it's actually consuming on your machine. So then you can almost kind of use it to get an idea of how much you maybe need to scale, whether like a model potentially is going to run well on a system. Because that's kind of like one thing which is also quite hard to grasp, especially if you're not used to running large models in environments and things like that. But it's seen a lot of great adoption from the community. Seen people using it where they're in a company and they have developers who are wanting to use models, and maybe this is like an interim step within their process as a security team where they give like a checkbox to it. They're able to actually look at that model themselves, say like approve it for some kind of upstream registry that they trust. Just kind of that's kind of the vibe.
So I have a question that just you're saying
Please.
that you're passing it an actual prompt in the trace. So what if does it? Let's say you passed it to a model that was set to go with a RAG implementation, and it could go find things that it doesn't know about, right? Would you then get to see that kind of activity in the trace? Hey, the model went and made a call to another, an embedding model or whatever, however that's set up.
It's a really good question. We don't, like, at the moment, it doesn't have that tool calling functionality because effectively you're just like loading the model as if you were just to download it locally and then just run it,
Okay.
so to speak. So that doesn't include like the tool calling and RAG and so forth.
That'd be an interesting one because I've been talking with people recently about that sort of thing. The outbound from the model. What happens when the model has to go out and do something also? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of, I guess, where it's coming more into like potential excessive agency and those infrastructure controls as well.
Yeah.
yeah, really good question. But yeah, I guess it was purely just a thought and just wanting to find a real world problem and apply a fix. And it's been really fun working on it. Obviously this is justifiably is a big deal right now in the community. So I feel it's really beneficial. We'd like to just share it. We would love to see pull requests, people using it, feedback, all that kind of good stuff. Would be really beneficial to help us continue to develop this.
Awesome. Well, you can definitely count on me to talk to people about it, man. This is a really really neat demo. And I hope to at some point get you back for more demos. I'm sure that'll happen.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. What I will quickly show here before, I guess, whilst we've got a bit of time. So I'll actually just share the GitHub repository, make it available afterwards, obviously. But in here, this is our GitHub here, Dreadnode, and Dyana. We have is it a Giphy? Is that what we call it? I don't know. We have a video which goes through similar to what I showed you here, like a backdoored model, and showed you the trace and things like that. Goes through the requirements, and then we also have a link to our documentation as well, which is here, which is at docs.dreadnode.io, just /Dyana. You'll find some documentation in here as well, and obviously then you can find out about loaders, which is something that we've talked about, and the types of things you can profile and check out and run. Again, like I say, you can even run it against pip. Packages from PyPy that you install with pip, for example, or anything like that. So again, not just limited to models, and something that hopefully proves really beneficial.
Awesome, man. I love it. Thanks again for showing this to me. I appreciate it, Ads.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate you having me. Pleasure.
You got it. And thank you, community, for tuning in. I hope you find this enjoyable. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for checking out the Generative AI Security Podcast. Don't forget to click like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.